Hello everyone, welcome to my channel UGC EduHi. Myself Sangeeta, I will be teaching you UGC NET Home Science. In this session, we will discuss on the topic Principles of Growth and Development. So first, we will see the definitions of growth, development, maturity and learning, then principles of growth and development, then what are the periods of development, then what is prenatal development, then what care we need to take during the pregnancy. What is growth? Growth is a biological changes that refers to the increase in mass and size of a body or organs. It typically occurs through the multiplication of cells and increase in intracellular substances. So growth usually measured in the form of height, weight and organ developments. It is a quantitative in nature and involves structural changes, and it is a part of the development. So what is development? It refers to the behavioral and functional maturation of the organism. It also refers to increase in capacity and skill to function effectively. For example, cognitive abilities such as thinking, reasoning and intellectual capacities. So this is both quantitative and qualitative, which involves functional changes. It is a product of maturation and learning. What is maturation? It is a process where an individual learns to react to the situations in an appropriate manner. It refers to the unfolding of characteristics present in the individual that comes from genetics. For example, when you are in a difficult situation, what are your emotional strengths and moral qualities? So what is learning? It is a development that comes from exercise and effort. Learning involves imitation, identification and training. For example, the cycling, the jumping, running, painting, other activities. So development, it is altogether made up of growth, maturation and learning. Development is a progressive series of orderly, coherent changes. It is continuous and changes are clear and sensible. Early development is more critical than later development. Early childhood experiences, which are from birth to the age of 8 years, these are mostly crucial because the most of the brain development happens in that age. This provides the foundation for all future learning, behavior and health. Development is multidimensional. Its domains are physical, emotional, cognitive, social, motor and moral development. So what is physical development? It involves increase in height, weight and internal organ development. Emotional development such as bonding, attachment, control of anger and fear. Social development involves sharing toys, learning empathy, relationship and friendship. Moral development, what is good and what is bad and ethical fairness, developing the sense of gratitude, honesty and kindness. Motor development such as sitting, standing, walking, jumping. Cognitive development involves abstract thinking, reasoning, analytical capacity. Coming to the developmental task, it refers to a task which arises at a certain period of life of an individual. Successful achievement leads to his happiness and success with the later task, while failure leads to unhappiness in the individual and disapproval by the society, which is given by the psychologist Robert J. Havigast. It means a developmental task for the infants who are of the age 0 to 6 years old are like walking, talking and toilet training. This means if child completes correct task in the correct time frame, so the child will receive the happiness and acceptance by the society. Fail to do so leads to unhappiness and out of place in the society. And why we need to understand the child development? Because to understand what to expect and when to expect, and to set standard or norms of development at particular age, and to prepare ahead for the changes which occurs in the body or behavior, and it gives guidelines to the parents, teachers and caretakers. Principles of development. The first principle is development is continuous. Development is apparent across the lifespan man, it starts with prenatal and ends with death. Although growth stops after adolescence, but early experiences affects the later life. The next is development is multidirectional. It follows orderly and sequential pattern. Example, initially child learns to crawl, then to walk and later to learn. There are two principles called cephalocaudal and proximodistal. Cephalocaudal principle is development begins from head to feet. Example, child gains physical control on the head first and later on legs. Proximodistal principle, development starts from center to the outside of the body. Spinal cord develops before the outer parts of the body. So arms will develop first, then hands, and then fingers and toes follows. The third principle is development proceeds from general to specific. The child will gain control over the gross motor skill first and then on the fine motor skill. Gross motor skill uses the large muscles, whereas fine motor skill uses the small muscles. Gross motor skill examples like walking, jumping and cycling, whereas for the fine motor skills, buttoning, writing and threading. This principle is also called as orthogenetic principle, explained by Heinz Warner. Example, child will hold a pencil with the whole hand, then with the fingers. The fourth principle is development is multidimensional. Development has various domains: physical development, emotional development, social development, moral development, motor development and cognitive development. First is physical development. It involves height, weight, gross and fine motor skills, sensory capabilities and nervous system development. Cognitive domain involves intelligence, wisdom, perception, problem solving ability, memory and the language development. Social and emotional domain consists emotional, self-perception and interpersonal relationship with families, peers and friends. The next development is the product of maturation and learning. So changes in the brain and nervous system account largely for the maturation. It helps in cognitive and motor development. Readiness is most important in achieving the progress. For example, 3-year-old child cannot use the language because brain has not matured enough to speak. The sixth principle is there is a different rate of growth and development. Rapid growth during the early stage of life and during the adolescence. Growth rate is rapid in girls when compared to boys. The seventh principle is principle of predictability. Uniformity of pattern and sequence of development which helps to forecast the general nature and behavior of a child. In neonatal stages, means newborn stage, we expect the child to show some reflexes such as sucking reflexes, palmar grasp reflexes, whereas in infancy we expect them to do crawling, walking, etc. Principle of individual differences. Every organism is a distinct creation in itself. There is no fixed rate of development. Walking is universal, but the time at which each child takes first step, it may vary. So we cannot compare from one child to another child. The next principle is principle of interrelation. All the domains are interrelated. Failure in achieving one domain, it can affect the other one. Example, inadequate physical or mental development that can affect the cognitive and social domain. Periods of growth and development. The first period is called prenatal or gestational period, which starts from conception through birth. The second one is neonatal period or newborn period, which is from first 4 weeks of the birth. The third one is infancy and toddlerhood. It starts from birth through 2 years. The next is early childhood, which is from 3 to 5 years of age. Then middle childhood from 6 to 11 years of age. Adolescence from 12 to 20 years. Early adulthood starts from 21 to 40 years. Then the middle age, that is from 40 to 60 years. Then the old age, it is after 60 years. What is prenatal development? The period from conception to birth, it is called as gestational period. It's about 40 weeks or 280 days. There are three stages of prenatal development. The first is germinal, second is embryonic, and the third is fetal period. So the germinal period, it starts from 0 to 2 weeks after conception. So once after the fertilization, the mitosis continues to form the blastocyst where the implantation occurs. Next stage is embryonic, that is 3 to 8 weeks. The development of the neural tube and organs occurs. The main stages of the embryonic period encompass gastrulation, the ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm formation, then neurulation, the formation of neural tissue, and organogenesis, that is development of the organs. The last stage, that is the fetal stage, it is 9 weeks till the birth. It is continued growth of organs and physical development in preparation for the birth. So, care during pregnancy. The first 13 weeks of pregnancy are considered the most critical in prenatal development. During this period, the embryo forms various organs, and this is the period where most miscarriages occurs. Factors that influence the prenatal development are nutritional status, the maternal malnutrition and micronutrient deficiency which affects the growth of the baby. Hence, we need to take care about the additional calories, protein supplements, iron and folic acid supplementation. And also the age of the mother also matters a lot. Complications above 35 years such as chromosomal abnormalities and birth defects, because fertility starts to decline above 35 years. And also smoking and alcohol consumption affects the pregnancy. Teratogens such as environmental agents that cause damage during the pregnancy such as drugs, PCBs, radiation and pollutants, and maternal diseases such as rubella, HIV, cytomegalovirus and herpes simplex virus. Some other health conditions such as gestational diabetes, preeclampsia means high blood pressure during the pregnancy, and breech birth can also affect the pregnancy. The next one is emotional stress and instability. The last one is socio-economic status or poverty can also affect the pregnancy. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe.